we've made things so fast and so wonderful with our technology, but we sort of forgot about the fact that we're human.
Hello. Today we are shifting with Hayley Russell, founder of The Body Crew, a boutique Pilates and wellness studio in Ripponlea, Victoria, right down the street from where I live. And I think the philosophy of The Body Crew is summed up on the website as we believe in the power of movement to restore, challenge, and build confidence, wanting every person who walks through the doors to feel the strength of the community and be inspired to find joy in movement. Now, that is fantastic. I love that. And I can vouch for the strength of the community and the joy in there. I met Haley when I was in search of one-to-one rehabilitative Pilates near me. And I found Haley. And seriously, the ripple effects of walking through the Body Crew doors for me have been many and wide, which we'll talk about sort of throughout the next hour or so. And Haley, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. The
Yeah,
pleasure.
good times. Do you remember how much pain I was in when I
I
came with my
do.
lower back?
Yes.
And I mean,
Yeah.
and that was what, two and a half years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. Would be. What are we, 24? 2 years ago, I reckon.
Yeah. And so,
Mm.
I mean, it's gone, right? We did it.
Yeah.
Good job, us. Way to go. I'm so proud of us.
We did all the different things we did.
So many different things. The one-on-one was fantastic. So tell me, I want to back up a little bit and let you talk about
Mhm.
your business all on your own. But first, I'm going to say you are a trained dancer and Pilates and bar instructor, and you've done a
Yes.
bit of globe trotting off the back of those skills. So I'm curious to learn a little bit more about that. Tell us more.
Oh, that stems. I've lived many lives, I think. I feel they're all very connected. But whenever I speak to someone, they're like, "Oh my God, you've had so many careers." And I see them all as one because it's all movement. But
So
I
young. How is
am
this
originally,
possible?
yeah. I'm originally from Brisbane, and then I moved down to Melbourne to train as a professional dancer.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, then, as a dancer, you get the wonderful opportunity to travel around the world. So, um, I did, the cruise ships and some work in Asia and the London stint and work over there, and traveled all around the UK in a pantomime and a show, which was fun.
Pantomime.
A
That doesn't
pantomime,
work really
yes.
well on the podcast.
No, none of the skills work well on the podcast. Kicking a leg is a
How
specific
you
skill that doesn't
dance.
really translate. Yeah.
Get
Um,
out the tap shoes,
yes.
Haley. We're going to need those today.
Well, that's the only thing that would translate. Yeah, so that's what took me around the world. And then, I truly, truly loved performing, but I really loved being on the other side of the table. And when I came back from England, it was I was ready to hang up the shoes, and I really enjoyed coaching and being in the productive team, being in the crew, which is why the body crew is called the body crew.
I was going to ask
Um,
about that.
that's one of the reasons, yeah. And the other reason is the community aspect of it. And yeah, when I came back, I started coaching professional dancers and working in production. And I did that for a long time. And that led me, I started Pilates because I was no longer dancing. And when you stop moving is when all the injuries tend to come out.
Well, that's interesting. We could touch on
Mm.
that for a little minute because so is it the adrenaline wearing off or the abuse stopped so then your body can start going, "Oh, hang on. We're not supposed to feel like that."
That's definitely one fact of it. The abuse stops. I think the body adapts very, very quickly to movement. And I think variety is a wonderful thing. So when you stop doing whatever your chosen movement is, especially if you're doing it at a consistent high level, then you don't need those movements anymore. Like you don't need to kick your leg anymore and then stopping it shortens the hamstring so much, and then the back goes or the hip goes. So what we do to maintain at a professional level for sports people or dancers or, you know, whatever movement style you're doing is quite intense. And then when all that
Mhm.
stops, you sort of become a normal person, if you'll call it that.
Hung up your
And
cape.
yeah, and that's when all the injuries start to show themselves, because you're not necessarily, some people are great at it, but not, you know, I didn't maintain class or training when I stopped.
Oh,
So
yeah, I wouldn't expect you to. And I do know that it wasn't Joseph Pilates. He didn't he develop this for dancers sort of specifically, well, like
well, he
retiring
developed it
dancers?
during the war to rehab soldiers from war in hospital beds,
Oh, that's
is how it all
news to
started.
me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But where he was positioned in New York, the dancers picked up on it pretty quickly. So, and
Yeah.
it lends itself like perfectly to that technical foundation of dance. It's the same as music, like classical music is sort of the base of it, and that then feeds its way through into all the different genres.
Dance, you mean?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Dance,
got it.
Pilates, like, yeah, all of it comes from that base classical technique.
Now, I have a little game that I don't know that I've introduced you to because we meet in such a bubble. Like we go, we do our exercise, we have conversation with yourself and others around exercise, and perhaps a product or two, and then we all go our separate ways. So
Yes.
you probably haven't played my game. But I've been playing this game with friends of mine for a little while, and I ask all of my guests to participate. You don't need any game pieces or any equipment.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So it's what's your current first world problem is the
Mm-hmm.
name of the game. So it's very personal, and I'll help you out by going first. So mine at the moment is actually coming up with a unique problem when I have multiple guest recordings within a few days because I don't really, I mean, luckily, I don't really have that many problems. And oh, boo me. I know so many nice people who are indulging my old school AM radio talk show host fantasy that I can't come up with enough problems to complain about. That's my first world
So the
problem is
problem is there's
to
no problem. Yeah.
this,
It's a
yeah,
great
well,
problem to
kind of.
have.
Well, that it's working. That's the whole point of the game. Like
Yeah.
highlight where how grateful we should be, right? So,
Yeah.
so what's your current first world problem? Just throw you on the spot
Well,
real quick.
my first world problem isn't a current problem, but it's forever been a first world problem for me because I have very, very curly hair, and
It's true.
I don't I'm quite out of character actually. And I fear that if I ever get married, I wouldn't be able to wear a veil because it wouldn't sit in my afro.
Do you have dreams about this? Like a recurring.
I have dreams about it. I think about it often. Like, I'm single, but I think about it often. I've always thought about it. I've always
It's
been like, how am I going to do
it's.
my hair for my wedding? Yeah.
May I offer an opinion about to help you solve
Absolutely.
your
Yeah. Don't
first
wear a
world
veil.
problem? I'm partial to like weaving some rhinestones, crystals, and flowers and stuff through those curls. Just like use it because
Yeah.
they're so
Yeah.
buoyant. They provide like their own little foundation, right? And then you put
They
in the
do. They
crystals
definitely
and the
do.
flowers.
Yeah.
So that's my vote. I vote for that.
Okay.
Look at
Yeah.
us solving problems. I love
I
this. I
know.
love this episode
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah.
I was thinking of you actually today because I was out for my walk in the beautiful sunshine, as we talked about earlier before we started recording.
Mm.
And I was listening to a guy that I've only just stumbled on recently. And I mean, I'm not advocating it. I was just listening to this guy. His name is Michael Singer. And I think his channel on YouTube is called The Spiritual Path.
Okay.
And his topic for the moment was from needing love to being love. And he was going on about, we keep seeking the relationships don't work because we're seeking someone to fill our emptiness. We think we need love versus if we go out and we are love, we exhibit love, then everything's love and we're groovy and it's all fantastic. And so he was sermoning about
Hmm.
this. but the thing that kind of made me go, he was saying, and I think it's better to say that most or many people, but he said nobody goes to work. Everybody goes to work from a perspective of need versus that they absolutely love what they do. Like, and
Ah,
I was like, oh, I go with a desire to deliver a quality thing. And I was like, oh, hang on. Yeah. So this is the whole, what would you do if you won the lottery? And so many people are
mm.
like, I quit my job. So, so I think he's talking about that, but I thought about you because he went on to speculate that he thinks artists work from this place of overbrimming love, and they must
Mm,
create, and that's what drives them to do the work they do. And I thought that was a
mm,
little bit rose-colored glasses because we have the tortured artists and the people who are like, I know I want to write a book, but it's killing me.
mm.
But I thought about you because I was like, well, hang on, maybe Hayley Russell has just found the secret to balancing her mental health platter, right? The mental health aspects. You've managed to work your life into this thing where you've got all your aspects at your disposal. You do what you want to do. Is that like, are you doing what you love? And
Oh,
it's
I
all love.
definitely do what I love. Yeah, absolutely. I do what I love in a few aspects, but what I love the most is people. So I get to be with people all day. Like I wouldn't be good like sitting behind a computer by myself. So what I love most is people. And then I get to pull a little bit of my dance, my love of technique. I loved dance technique and I love Pilates technique, and I get to, and my love of sort of the body and wellness all into one at the studio. So in that aspect, yeah, I get to draw on a little bit of everything. But I think I kind of disagree. I agree with you. I sort of disagree with him a little bit about artists because it's all for love. I think artists have a burning flame inside them and they don't know anything but to feed to that. So I think that's why
Almost
they
an
have to keep performing.
addiction or something. It's like a
I wouldn't call it an addiction. I would just call it like when I started dance training to a professional level, if anyone had taken it, like I think it's a tie to your identity more. Like if anyone had taken it away from you, like your world would be over, you know.
I'm a
So and
dancer,
that's why, yeah.
right?
But if you weren't allowed to dance for some reason, or allowed to write, or allowed to sing, or create, or make art, whatever the artist's choice is, they're not themselves. And
Well,
some
that's
people, I think
interesting.
true artists need that their whole lives. I don't think I was a true artist, and I don't think I'm that creative a person. So I think I
You're able
did what I
to
did
be a
with
little
it,
bit
and
more
then there were other
flexible.
things for me. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say this because I read when George Michael suicided and on a Christmas Eve, right? And a
Mm.
few years ago, I read that friends of his were saying, his voice had left him and he was no longer able to sing.
Ah,
And that just really depleted his interest in being here. If he could not
yeah.
give that to the world, he was
Mm.
out. And so
Mm.
I think it's a very strong point that you make there. So
Mm.
we are all looking to Hayley Russell to like how to create a fabulous life, right? I mean,
Oh,
your first
sure.
world problem is how are you going to dress your hair for your wedding? And now you
Yeah.
don't have one anymore
100.
because
And now
we
I know what
figured
to
it
do.
out,
So I've got to find
right?
another problem.
So
Yeah.
yep, yep. I mean, maybe you were talking the other day, but you realize as you get older how much discipline dance gave you,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
and like repetition until it's better is sort of the mode.
Mm.
So, how long do you notice it actually takes? Because I work in change management, as you know, and I think I say
Mm.
that during every one of these episodes, so people are going to be like,
We
if
have.
I'm so lucky that people tune in more than one, they're going to be like, we've heard you say that before. But there's a theory out there that it takes 21 days to build a habit, and I
Oh,
personally
yeah.
feel that's a little optimistic. And if we want
Yeah.
sticky change, which is how we refer to it
Mm,
in the corporate environment, how do you make sure that the change sticks or it embeds or it's adopted? And it takes much longer than 21 days. So I'm curious because you deal with people's transformations, body transformations for your
mm.
work. So how long do you really think it takes somebody to build a habit? And what are the main ingredients?
The main ingredients is the reason they start the
The
change,
why.
the why. Because a lot of people will, uh, uh, I mean, we're a little bit different. We're not like a weight loss gym or a, as it's more about longevity for us and movement that will enhance any other activity you do in your life, be it cycling, picking up your kids, your grandkids, marathon running. That's sort of where we come from. So we're not really there to lose weight and, you know, do that sort of thing.
Well, the goals may
If it
be
happens as
different.
a, yeah, people's goals might be that, but I feel like once they start, they shift that focus as well. But I think, yeah, how long it takes depends on why they start. If they start because I've got to, lose 5 kilos for a wedding, my sister's wedding or something, it doesn't stick. It never happens. They'll do the first week will be great. The second week they'll fall off the bandwagon. They'll turn up again on the third week. Then you'll never see them again. But
Right?
if they come because they've been thinking about it for a long time and they want to make some actual changes in their life and their lifestyle, and they start small and do those little tiny chips, like, maybe it's once a week, maybe they start with just a stretch class, or maybe, however they're going to suit their bodies. People normally start to say to me after the second week normally that they can feel the changes, and the first change they always feel is their mental health is better.
What are they noticing? They have better sleep, clarity,
They're happier,
not so cranky.
not
Ah,
so cranky. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
been it's been we've had the studio open for just over 18 months now, and it has been the most overwhelming thing to feedback to receive. Like, it's so beautiful that so many clients of all different ages are just like, it's good for my mental health, and they just enjoy everything else better. But, there's scientific reason to why it is, but watching people realize that for themselves is what's been so amazing. And then if they start small, 1 or 2 classes a week, and then you watch them build a little by little, and they completely change to the point before they did no exercise at all, and now they come 3 times a week and they love their exercise and they're willing to try different things, and they go harder on their settings on the machine, and they
Hmm.
try a sauna, try a different class style. They start to expand into other areas as well.
Why don't you tell us what other, I mean, we just said you have a Pilates and wellness studio, and
Yeah.
we're very in our own bubble with that language because we're assuming everybody knows what Pilates is. And I think
Yeah.
that's a bit presumptuous. So why don't you tell us what the Body Crew's got on tap?
We have on tap Reformer Pilates. So Pilates is basically, I explained, like, the Pilates is the name of the exercise. Reformer is the name of the piece of equipment that we use, which is the bed that slides based on resistance springs. We have mat Pilates, which is just on a mat. We have stretch and mobility, which is not a yoga class. It's a stretch class with fascial release. So foam rollers, trigger point work, sort of a self massage class. And then we
Yeah, I'm a
have
big
our
fan. I
favorite
like that one.
groove and tone, which is a bar workout. And I describe that as basically aerobics set to music. And it's called groove and tone so that you can have a G&T at the bar.
A groove and
And I
tone,
thought I
not a
was a
gin and
marketing
tonic.
genius. Yeah.
You are a marketing genius. Don't even try and dim that light. The groove and tone is super fun, and
It
that's
is, yes.
females only. Is that correct on those classes?
It's some of
You
them
open
are.
that up.
Yeah, some classes are women only, but not all the classes that we offer, and not all the groove and tone. But it's heavily female, that class. Not all the others.
Yeah,
All the others are great mix, but groove and tone is, yeah.
agreed. I do think that there's a misconception in the social populist brain
Mm.
that Pilates is a girl sport.
Yeah, yeah, it's a wonderful misconception, isn't it?
Yes,
If
and the
oh, I
men
could
when they
rewrite that.
I don't think it is just for women. I mean, the thing what I've noticed that the men that I know who venture in, they're a bit
Hmm.
shy, first of all.
Mm,
And second of all, every single one of them that I've known are surprised at, oh, that was a lot harder than I thought it would be.
yeah.
So, do you think it's because the practitioners on the reformer beds are just so good they make it look easy? Or do you think it's that perception of it's a girl sport, so it's probably super easy? Or no, they're just not thinking about it and they just thought it was easy for what reason?
I think it's a girl sport, so it's easy and it's light exercise and it's for girls who like,
They're not sweaty
just
and
something
stinky
gentle and
afterward.
light. Yeah, but they're strong.
No,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. But
What
you can do it on
my
your lunch
favorite
hour.
thing is when a young girl brings her boyfriend in and goes, "Please teach him." And I'm like,
Almost
"With
like a
pleasure."
trick, though. I feel kind of
Yeah.
bad, a
Yeah.
little bit. But
I think there's a
yeah.
great amount of intimidation around it because of the flexibility that people think is required to do it. And so I think that turns a lot of men off is and a lot of women as well. But a lot of men steer away from it because they're not flexible enough to do it. And
No,
if
but
I could
it helps the flexibility
correct,
of
exactly.
everyone. And I think Rebecca Romaine, she used to be Stamos, now she isn't. I'm not sure, but I read
Yes.
a quote from
Yeah.
her after she had been doing Pilates for a while, and she claimed to have grown an inch. So
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the
stretch it
happiest
right on
feedback I
out.
get is when people say, "Oh, I feel taller," and I'm like, "Yes." Yeah.
Yes.
I, I
Well, the
I
stretching
would
out.
probably say she does. She does, yeah. It's also postural work. Like it's so much postural work and so many people sit cramped over at a desk or on their phone or insular. So once you open that up, you automatically get more height.
Well, well, yes, and you bring up a great point that I think my big contributor to my pain was the
Mm,
repetitive stress of my job and the sitting. Um,
mm.
and I want to get to that in a little minute. So you were saying that you think 2 weeks, but really, how long do you think it takes to build a habit that sticks?
To build the habit that sticks, I would probably say 3 months.
See, and then I mean, I don't know, is that a twice or three times a week kind of thing? How long is the habit? You know, those sorts of things.
I
As
would say
it's
if someone starts whatever small is for their lifestyle. Some people's small is 1 a week. Some people's small is like my small would be 3 a week because I need to move to keep
same.
myself sane. Yeah. So that would be
I
small for
think
me
you
if
do
I
it
only
for
did
the
three
others
a week.
around you,
Yeah.
actually, Haley. I think
But yeah, so whatever small is for someone, if they start with their small and then very slowly build when they feel they're ready to or they want to, if they stick it out for 3 months, and 3 months sounds like a long time, but it's 12 weeks. So that might be 12 sessions for someone, it might be 24 or more for someone else. I think that's then basically a lifelong habit. Like, not many people fall off the bandwagon if they're going
you do.
consistently, and it may not be Pilates, it might be walking, going for a walk, or it might be a bike ride, or whatever it's going to be, any form of movement. If they stick to it little by little, I think
Yeah.
once they're there for 3 months, they're hooked for life.
I would agree with that because then you're also taking into account the if it's not an everyday thing. I think if it's every
Mm.
day, you might do it a little bit faster than 90 days.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I don't think that every body is built for every day.
Everyday exercise. My
Yeah,
sister exercises every day.
everyday
And
structured exercise, if I say that. Like walking, yes, but maybe not resistance or
yeah, like a
weight or
full-on
something.
workout. Yeah, no, she
Yeah,
does
because
every
like,
day.
yeah,
And
I think
people
there's
are
a
always
lot to
like,
be
"You
said for
exercise every day?" Like she's strange or something. And she's like, "Yeah, what are you doing?"
yeah, and see, it's absolutely addictive and it's wonderful. I think there's a lot to be said for recovery, though, and I think professional athletes don't necessarily train every day. Maybe their training is an active recovery day, but for some reason we are from go hard or go home lifestyle. So people jump in and try to do every day and then can't maintain it, injure themselves, don't feel great because their muscles are pulling out really sore, etc., etc. So I think recovery is a big
Motivation
thing.
as well. Like I generally practice yoga every day. You can do a
Mhm.
totally different routine. You can do it for a different
Exactly.
length of time. You can, but also I think the body has great muscle memory. And if
Yes.
you give it a day off every once in a while, and then you go back and you do your workout, I find that I've gotten stronger with that day of rest,
Yeah.
and your body goes, oh, yeah, I know how to do this. And it goes kind of right back to what you
Yeah.
wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I will say,
interesting.
like, movement every day is what I would definitely advocate for. As in, like,
Sit
you know,
up. Exactly.
go for a walk or do a couple of try and touch your toes in the morning or something like that, but not necessarily a sweaty gym session every day.
Okay. I thank you for that
So
expert.
I can make sure that's clarified.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, now the other thing is, so you did this, was it the I want to weave my perfect life for my energy level and how I like to work, and that's why I opened my own business? Or was it, gosh, I don't like working and taking orders from someone else, so I'm going to open my own business? Or was it that you couldn't find the right environment for how you thought, this sort of thing could be presented to your clients?
Um, no, not at all. No, I think
That's
for
a
me,
long-winded answer, and I don't like any of it. Yeah,
it
okay.
um, for me, I think it was, I'd been around small business a lot in my life, and then I went to work big corporate, and I was like, oh, I like small business. I don't like big corporate. Pretty
Why is
quick, I was like, oh,
that?
this is gross. Oh, just like procedures, like a meeting about having a meeting did my head in. I was like, just someone do it. Like
We will
I
keep
just was
having
just a
meetings
waste of
until
time, and
we
yeah,
find
and I
out why
was
no work is getting done.
yeah, and it just wasn't, it just frustrated me. I was very lucky that I was still in the, entertainment, so it's always fun. But
Right.
it's it I liked being hands-on, and I've been around a lot of small business. So um when I was in corporate, I realized that I didn't like corporate. I definitely wanted to be in small business. And then I just started, I don't know, the dream just started being like I wanted my own business. I didn't want my own Pilates studio. I wanted my own business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I knew I wanted to work with people. And then that's sort of how it fell into it. Because I had come and gone from the Pilates industry. Like I sort of ping-ponged between entertainment and Pilates for a while. And every time I went back into entertainment, I missed working with people.
You're working
So
with
that's
people in
you
entertainment.
work well, yeah, you do, but it's just not the same. Like in Pilates, you really get to sit around and have a great chat with someone, and you move and you feel great, and people are there because they want to be there, you know.
Community that you're talking about. I mean, the theater has a
Mm.
community. It can
It
be a
does
little
have a community.
dysfunctional at times, perhaps. We like to think that Pilates studio is a little bit, everybody's more focused on getting a little bit out of the toxicity at the Pilates
Yeah.
studio. I like the vibe in your studio. The ladies
Oh, thank you.
are, yeah, no, I mean, everybody, first of all, which I
Yes,
think helps your clients feel welcome to be recognized by the instructors. And you hire some really talented instructors.
they
You're
are
not
wonderful.
late, you run a tight ship. Like stuff
No, we'd
happens
never
when
be
it's meant
late.
to happen. That's very important. I like a
Mortified if we're late.
timely. Yeah, oh right. That would be really bad. So all right, so you opened your own business because
Mm,
you wanted to be self-sufficient and independent and not and working with people, and it made
mm,
sense with your skills.
to go
Ultimately
down
you're
that
like, well,
path.
what do
Yeah,
I know how to do? So I can give this to the world
yeah,
and have some takers. See, now that's the Japanese style of finding out, what do I like? What do people need? Where do they
Yeah,
intersect? That's what I'll
here
do.
we are.
Right. So,
Yeah, yeah.
what an idea.
Exactly. And it's been wonderful, and the community of the studio is my absolute favorite part of it. I love watching people feel great and feel more confident to come and try new classes and styles. But one of my favorite days was when two young girls went out to coffee and made friends after class. Because I have really, really good friends who I've made at Pilates or at gyms or studios and things like that. And it was really, really nice to watch people talk, or someone who starts and they're quite shy, and then you watch them start chatting to other people in the class, and then they become friends, and then they feel more confident, and it's just so wonderful.
It is nice. And that's that organic piece of how you get things done that you and I were talking about a couple weeks ago. Because now you say you used to work in corporate, didn't really suit your style. You've got your own business and you like that independence and the freedom. And at the
Mm,
same time, I did hear you advocating for mandating certain numbers of days of week back into the office for those who
mm.
work in offices. So I wanted to revisit that a little bit
Yeah,
and talk about that with you.
I think that aligns. Because I think that, yeah, do you want to say something first?
Man,
I
go.
think,
It's all good.
I don't think mandating's a great word at all, if there's a nicer way to say it. But I think that we really, really underestimate the power of community and of connection, and how incredibly important it is for our health. And, if it has to be mandated that people work in the office, then I think I think getting back in there is great. I do think that flexibility is important, and, it helps people work from home for a variety of reasons, and that's great. But I do like, if I worked in a corporate job and they had 3 or 4 days a week in the office, I wouldn't bat an eyelid at it,
Right.
because I think being around people is important. I think so many friendships, so many relationships start in workplaces. And I have, lifelong friends from my corporate job who have been the biggest supporters for this studio, and whose weddings I've been to and everything, and are very, very close friends now. And I hadn't been in the office with them. If I'd been sitting at home by myself, I would never have those relationships.
Yeah, so the COVID experience has really had an impact on it's opened people's minds to how might we engage in this thing called commerce from all these different aspects, whoever brings whatever they're
Mm,
bringing to the table. But
mm,
also it's brought up the mental health situation that we've backburnered that we've tamped it down and therefore created a little bit more stuff for everyone to deal with when they look inside
mm,
because it's tamped down and stuck in there. So I like that you touched on both of those things and throughout these conversations that I'm having, other people have mentioned that the first world problem game
mm.
that they're once they're trying to turn off their technology, they're trying
So they're not
to
worried about their hairstyle.
it's not their hair. No, you're unique. It's fantastic. It takes all kinds for the world to roll.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah, no, fear not. That's fine. Um, so no, but one of them was like, I want to get technology a little bit out of my life.
Yeah,
Someone else was like, all the damn technology, it gets in the way of a true connection. People only date using apps instead of possibly talking to the person next to them in the grocery store. So, we've changed after COVID. And I think people got super awkward too with all
I
that,
agree.
especially
Yeah, I was
in
thinking that
Melbourne.
before.
I mean, we're in our own bubble about speaking of bubbles with how much time we were locked down. So this is different than for people who were in other areas of the globe.
Cities, yeah.
Um, but yeah, people in Melbourne, we don't even know how to socialize anymore, do we?
No. Mm.
No.
And I think
I,
that the younger generation as well, they don't they don't necessarily have to go to uni. They can do uni from home and things like that as well. So it's starting really, really young. I mean, I definitely blame COVID for a lot of the problems, but I think it accelerated the problems, and I think they would have been there anyway because of technology would have eventually said, okay, well, you can study from home or whatever. And I didn't go to uni. I went to dance college, but my siblings and my friends who went to uni have wonderful relationships and friends from uni, and then that also builds them a network and opens opportunities for them. And I think that we've made things so fast and so wonderful with our technology, but we sort of forgot about the fact that we're human.
Love that you brought that up. We are human, and ultimately, the reason for all the technology really was to aid us in our lives.
Yeah.
And ostensibly, that's still what it's for. But I was
Mm.
talking to someone just yesterday, and I was wondering, for me, when I go onto a project or when I go in to help an organization, oftentimes I help them define what the future state is that they're going to work toward,
Hmm.
because they often don't know what the future
Mm.
state might be. So it's important on a project to know what the future state is so we understand what we need to develop, what skills
Yeah.
are going to be required to support that future state, all of these considerations, instead of, I'm going to build this and isn't it wonderful? Now, can you please go find a use for it? And I,
Yes. Yeah.
right? And at the same time, what about, where do we all want to be? What is our
Mm.
future? What do we want it to look like? We haven't really stepped back and taken that opportunity to say, it's sort of this or that. We must go back to that which was before COVID and was designed for factories, essentially, because you had to be on site in order to get work done, right?
Yeah.
Pre technology days, that structure. Or everyone's working from anywhere and we have no control, and people
Mm.
people are freaking out. And I'm wondering if we might envision something different, incorporating that healthy mind platter in there, and people like yourselves in the environment we build for work. What do you think? What are you starting to see when I'm saying these things?
Yeah, I think there needs to be a balance. Like, I think it's amazing. I've heard really incredible stories about people who have, traveled around Australia or around the world and still been able to keep their job. And so that's then funded them and allowed them to the opportunity to do that sort of travel and work from wonderful places that they may not have had the opportunity to see otherwise. So I think there's surely got to be some balance in there, and it's not extremes in anything never work. So
You and I, our minds are running along the same lines, because like the 80s was definitely an excessive kind of time, and lunches for wimps, and work until you can sleep when you're dead, and
yeah.
those kind, no pain no gain, all those came out of the 80s. And then the
Mm.
90s, I'm not really sure what was going on there except for grunge. uh, what was
just
everybody
it
doing there?
just it just turned the volume up on all of it, really, didn't it? Yeah.
This goes to 11. So but I feel like we are starting to build things without knowing why we need it, whether we need it.
Yeah.
And we're building our society around the shiny new toys. And
Hmm.
people are worried about their jobs, but it does come
Mm.
down to people again to program all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I
I think
mean,
that technology will continue to advance and we can't do anything about it, and it's
absolutely.
not going to stop, and so we may as well embrace it. um but I think that at the same time we need to find a better way to fix, what is referred to as the mental health crisis, which, you could argue is the loneliness crisis or something like that. And, I think it starts much, much younger. I don't have children, but I don't think phones should be allowed at school, full stop. I listened to a podcast the other day, and he was saying that teachers reported that when kids didn't have their phone at school, when they brought that rule in, they for the first time heard laughter at lunchtime. And I was like, that's
Oh,
disgusting. Like, why? It's just disgusting because kids go, or not kids, we all take the phone and then you look down to that, and then that's where your
yes.
loneliness problem starts.
It's in
Um,
the design, and it's a
yeah,
disconnection. I think it's a disconnection. We're very disconnected from each other, from our own emotions. We do not need to sit with it ever. We don't
no,
need to sit with a feeling.
no, yeah, and and connecting by technology is not the answer.
Well, I saw something the other day, and I go there for the comments kind of kind of move on
Right,
my part.
kind of place,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was what my entertainment level was. Yes, that's what I was doing.
Can be a
But
slippery
the
slope.
and try not to get angry when you read them, when you went there to be amused. So I was reading, and it was about electronically delivered mental health tool, and it was sort of like therapy,
All right, yeah,
but it was AI. It was AI
yeah,
therapy. I had
yeah,
watched a science fiction film that was kind of tongue in cheek, that had an AI delivered voice that was very soothing to listen
yeah,
to, and delivered the
mm,
sort of platitudes we make fun of in the psychiatric realm all the time.
yeah,
And the woman was like, and I feel better now. And I was just like, I don't know if that would do it for me. Is that where we're
yeah.
going?
Well, I think that I have to eat my own words because you invited me to do this face to face, but it worked better for me to do it by Zoom. So I think there are definitely bonuses to it, and if and even on bonuses to technology, and even on a mental health level, I sort of think, I mean, if it helps someone start to learn how to meditate, or because they listen to a 10-minute meditation or something, like there's wonderful parts to it. So I don't want to sort of hang on technology too hard, because I think it can be used for really, really great things. Um,
Yes.
but unfortunately, I don't think we learn by going, this is the great path to go down. I think we go the wrong way and fail, and then we work it out. And I feel like at the moment we're on the wrong way to failure,
We're in a
which is fine.
labyrinth.
We have to
Yeah.
learn by falling. Yeah. And I think there's such a natural shift back to connection and to being around people anyway. Like so many people are seeking that, and I think it'll start to build and build.
I agree. And there's a big focus in the corporate world about, it started with the ways of working is the phrase. And it's
Hmm.
and it's about behaviors, and what do they do now? What do the people do now? And we want them to do something else. So how do we merge those two paths together so that the learning curve isn't this huge gap, right? And so ways of
Yeah,
working developed. But then it kind of dovetails in with human-centered design, these ways of working. So what are the humans, what are our cycles of flow, right? So how much time can we focus for? And then how
mm,
much time do we need to recuperate for? And what noise level is optimum for staying in flow? And all these different sorts of considerations. I'm starting to see a real opportunity to redesign what we think
yeah,
of as the workplace.
yeah. Which might incorporate working from home, and a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. And actually, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I listened to another podcast the other day with the founder of Netflix, and he was talking about his, their company culture there, and how they don't have rules, basically. Like they don't have a leave policy, they don't have an expense policy. It's they just trust, they try to hire really good people who they trust to get the job done, and use their better judgment. And I think that way, like putting trust in people, but we live in a society where we don't trust people.
And the trust factor, it has been eroded immensely in the last, I would say, 5 years. There's
Yeah,
been a huge erosion of trusting one another, trusting what we read. We don't trust our news sources anymore,
yeah.
and so that's frightening. And I'll lend you a book if you like, written by
Mm.
Patty McCord. It's called Powerful, and it's about the beginning of Netflix and how
Oh, I'd
they
love to. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, how they developed the whole thing, and it was not an easy path by any means. And I think you'll find
No.
it
Yeah.
inspirational. It's pretty good. So I'll get that to you. One last thing, I know this is totally off the beaten, but I want to touch on all your skills. I know that
Okay.
you've got this crazy tangential connection to the world of tennis, which is pretty big here in Melbourne. And I
Yes.
thought I would plug that for you. I want to know a
Yeah.
little bit more. And I hear you kind of talking about it during tennis season the last couple of years, but I
My
don't really know what
obsession.
it
Yeah.
is you do. Yeah.
Oh, I'm very lucky is what I do. Um, where I had my corporate job because I had some wonderful friends there. I made it known
Yeah.
I'm a huge tennis fan and my family are huge tennis fans and we definitely go to the Oz Open every year without fail. And I made it known at my old corporate job that I loved it and we had access to a lot of players there. And the first year I think it was that I worked there, the person who normally interviewed the players was on leave, and my friend or my colleague was organizing the interviews, and she was like, "Oh, you like tennis? Can you interview these players?" And I was like, "Oh, like what do
The
you?"
understudy gets her moment, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. And
Awesome.
I mean, I've managed to hold on to my moment for a few years now. I don't know if I still
I
will.
love that.
But it was, yeah, it's so much fun. And so I get to have a bit of a really low key, casual sort of meet and greet chat with the players who I find just fascinating. I have I'm a real dork for like elite level sport and training and like and tennis, like just love it. But I
Discipline,
also
it
get
just
it's
winds
the
you up,
discipline of
doesn't it?
tennis.
I
It
see
does. I
it.
love
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
floats your boat.
I'm like every day, tell me your schedule. um, but I actually had a wonderful chat with Andy Murray uh, a couple of years ago, and he was speaking about because Federer had just retired, and he was speaking about how hard it is for anyone in elite sport or something elite like that because their day is scheduled for them, and then they stop and they're left they have quite the crisis.
It's purpose.
Yeah,
Purpose. Oh, I actually do have another question, and it is related a
sure.
little bit to purpose
Okay.
because it's about being a solopreneur,
Oh, yes,
entrepreneur,
sure.
self-owned business. What if you have, what's a gold piece of advice you might share? I mean, with anyone, or you might, and or specifically for women wanting to start in business on their own. Um, Gold piece of advice for
I
everybody
have I
and
have
or just for
two.
women. Yeah,
I have
excellent.
two. The first one is to listen, and I often have to remind myself because people will give you an opinion or a piece of advice or something, and in your head there might already be a reason that it doesn't work, and they might say, for example, you should do yoga at the studio, and my answer is no, yoga doesn't work at Pilates studios. It's a theory I have, and um, it's a bad example, but I think when I started out, I was very aware of the fact that I hadn't run a business before and I didn't know what I was doing. I had great support and guidance, but I would listen to everyone and just be quiet and listen. And then you can take it or leave it. But if you don't block them and cut them off and you let them really talk, you might find the golden nugget in there that would help you out. My second piece of advice is to have a team in your corner who is varied. I see a lot of places who are stuck in their, we all live in these bubbles, as you say, And so I try to have, and I try to take advice from people from outside my bubble. They're still very much in my world, but they might run businesses that have absolutely nothing to do with health and wellness, and but they're very successful at business, or they understand a different aspect that I don't understand. So I think variety is great because you cross over, so many paths cross over and so many skill sets cross over, and you never know where your path is going to lead you to and where it's going to take you, and also what skill works for some businesses. I, took our loyalty program from a cafe loyalty program that I heard about, and that's how I developed our loyalty program. And
Right.
you know, instead of just following all the other wellness studios, so if you've got that group of people around you who you can draw on, who come from a really varied background, and I think you find interesting and great new ideas that way, and real
So what
support because yeah.
Well, because they like you, obviously, and yeah, you want to build a supportive network. But what I'm hearing from
Yeah.
you is the benefits actually that do come from your time in, and if you call that meditation, reflection, prayer, whatever you want to call it, but the distance to be able to be open-minded, to take in advice from all sorts of different walks of life that are very different to yours, and also the
Mm.
patience to listen to a rambler like myself who just goes on and on.
Or the
But
discipline, and see, this is where it all ties together, is that if you discipline yourself for those little things, and it is, you have the patience to be quiet and to listen to someone because you've practiced that. Yeah. And then you can
that's the
really,
word.
yeah, hear something wonderful or meet great people.
That's right. So this has been so good. I knew that you would be fun to talk to, and I wasn't wrong.
Oh,
And I
thank you.
want everyone to see your hair.
Ah,
Um,
I'll send you a photo. No,
we'll get a still to post when I post
because
this
I
one.
don't fit. Yeah,
So it's the Body Crew in
it is.
Ripponlea,
Yes.
Victoria. Sorry for those people who are listening and don't live down the street from the studio because it's fantastic.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
and you've
They can
got
come
what,
visit
a
any.
website,
We do have a website. Yeah.
thebodycrew.com
.au.
.au, pardon me, and
Yeah.
you can learn all about Hayley there. Maybe there's even a photo. I didn't look.
Oh, there
But
isn't. No, no, there
no,
isn't.
wow, on the down low. I like
No.
it. I like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. No,
Thank
I'm very
you.
passionate about being the space and not about me.
And I like that and it feels like that too. So I'm a fan, I'm an advocate. Help me get over some pain, and tangentially, I cannot say that word. A side byproduct is that I found the house that I now live in
Yeah.
because I was walking to my Pilates session and saw the sign. So you never
That's
know what can
right.
happen
Yes.
on your
That's
path.
the thing. You never know. Exactly. We all go outside. It's fun.
Thank you for indulging
Thank you
me. I
so
really
much.
had fun. Yeah, have a good one. I'll let you know when it airs.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
All right, cheers, Hayley.